The administration and Democrats are admonishing the CIA for using enhanced interrogation techniques, but the man who ran the program, along with the architect of it, argue there's selective moral outrage when it comes to the handling of Islamic terrorists.
This administration actually does not take any prisoners. They prefer to kill them from afar using drones. And somehow they feel that because they kill from a distance, somehow it's more ethical.
To me, it seems completely insensible that slapping KSM is bad, but sending a Hellfire missile into her family's picnic and killing all their children and, killing Granny and killing everyone is okay.
Ed Henry asked the White House to explain that disconnect earlier.
Can you explain how the president believes that it's un-American to use these techniques, but it was okay to ramp up the drone policy and basically thousands of people around the world, innocent civilians, were killed? What's the moral equivalency there?
There is significant care taken, and there are significant checks and balances that are included in the system to ensure that any counterterrorism action that's taken by the United States of America does not put at risk innocent lives.
I understand there are safeguards, but in the end, we've seen many cases around the world where U.S. drones have killed innocent civilians, despite those safeguards.
But you're asking about our moral authority, and I think there is a very clear
moral authority.
There's a very clear difference. There's a very clear difference between the tactics that are used by terrorists and the counterterrorism tactics that are employed by the United States of America.
Are you persuaded by that, Andrea? There's been 500 targeted killings, 98% of them by drones.
No. And oftentimes these drone killings take out innocent children or people who aren't even expected.
It's because when they come out into the public, they're often at like a wedding or something like that.
Right, exactly. Now, at least Dianne Feinstein is somewhat consistent in the sense that she screamed and yelled because President Obama didn't get congressional authority. But in the CIA report, so they didn't talk to the head of the program, Rodriguez. They didn't talk to any of the lawyers who said that this was okay. Earlier, Andrea Mitchell, who works with Brian Williams over at MSNBC, tweeted out a retweet that no lawyer can read this torture report and not see a clear case of criminal liability. Mm-hmm. Really? That's funny because a bunch of DOJ lawyers did under 2 administrations and did not find any wrongdoing. So it's just not adding up. And when they talk about sunlight, and you made this point earlier, Dana, when they talk about sunlight and transparency, and I don't want sunlight at the CIA. Right. I don't need sunlight at the CIA. There's some things I don't need to know about, and to have the report today be released on Capitol Hill that shows that our embassies still aren't secure, the timing on that, to fire up these terrorists and have them upset and when they're already upset, but then to advertise that our consulates aren't secure, and that was a State Department report, by the way, it's probably pretty bad timing to telegraph that. And
listening to Jose Rodriguez, he's a former CIA agent. I did not talk to him about this. I talked to another person that I know who used to be with the agency, and I asked him what did they think about the posturing by the White House, but that the White House did try to get Dianne Feinstein, the senator, not to release the report. But then when she decided to do it, they said, okay, yeah, but we're okay with it. And he said that in a word, Greg, that they feel betrayed.
I think they should. I mean, it is. I was thinking about this. We have reverse sunlight. I would like to know how Obamacare got through. Yeah. And that was, they joke about how they got that through, but we have to be transparent, which is somehow gratifying to our enemies. By the way, I'm for droning. I like sitting locally and killing globally. It means less of our troops are at risk. However, they're cutting an important college class. Interrogation 101. Mm-hmm. Droning prevents you from learning how to investigate and getting information from vital sources, hopefully. But, I mean, it's interesting because, again, I go back to this. The CIA had a choice. If you don't go overboard, you will be guilty of not doing enough if something happens. And if you do go overboard, you will be guilty of going overboard. They chose the latter, more noble course. And now they're being thrown under this gigantic Obama bus.
And it was really because of politics. And don't just take that from me, Senator Dianne Feinstein herself.
If Americans are killed as a result of this report, and they tell you that, I assume you would feel guilty about that.
I would feel very badly, of course. I mean, what do you think, Wolf Blitzer? But we lose control. At the end of this year, the Republicans take control, and there's some evidence that this report would never see the light of day.
Well, there was the Republicans on the committee. They issued a rebuttal to the report, but that was actually in protest as well because the report is not thorough, right?
So she admitted that she had to do it, as Andrea points out, before they lose control of the Senate. Otherwise, it may not get unearthed or seen. But in some sort of liberal, I don't know, confused world, droning is more humane than torturing someone or interrogating them aggressively. It's bizarre. But here's one of the fallouts, I think, of shining a light on this. Listen, I've said it throughout. I think it's okay to release it. I just think their techniques were okay as well. Here's one of the fallouts, though. As Andrea points out, the rhetoric is now, hey, did they act legally back then? If the next time the CIA has a bad guy in their custody and they have an opportunity to save an American's life by interrogating this bad guy aggressively, enhanced interrogations, whatever it takes, are they going to worry that down the road some stupid dumbass senator is going to say, hey, back then in 2014 or 15, that shouldn't have been legal and we're going to prosecute him, and they let the bad guy go or they don't interrogate and more Americans die? That's one of the fallouts to releasing reports like this.
Well, I think that they are noble, honorable people that work at the CIA who would do the right thing regardless. I think.
Well, this does raise a couple of points here. Hayden sits there and says, "Oh, they showed that he killed Granny and killed kids." Could he be specific? He's not talking about anything specific. This is the rollout. These drones are killing kids and grandma.
No, that's what, according to the New York Times.
Well,
the New York Times has documented specifically all of the collateral damage.
Should we then do away with drones and go back to, if this interrogation works so well, why don't we just use it?
Do both.
If it's legal.
Do both. All means
tools.
Well, then you're going to have collateral damage.
Means
but there always
necessary.
was.
I'm in favor of drones too.
If she was so confident that this needed to come out, here's why I have a question. If the White House was fine with it coming out, why didn't they do it before the election, Bob?
I have no idea.
We all know the reason.
No, I mean, usually I'm pretty blunt about this stuff. I do think she's right.
But
I
now
think
that we
Republicans would have sat on this thing.
Now that we have this report out, could we please see the Bergdahl report that is being held up by the administration? I'd like to see that one.
Why isn't a lot of the people in the media who are so angry about this, who are for the drones, are against the death penalty? I mean, by the logic, you shouldn't keep people in prison either. You should just execute them. And that's their logic.
Abortion.
So you're in favor of the drones. So why is everybody complaining about the drones?
I'm not.
No, we're saying you can't. Well, there's not. What's the equivalent?
You should listen to me when I'm talking. I just said I was.
And we all said we were in favor of the drone.
Well, and it's an enhanced interrogation thing works as well as you say it does. You should be for that, right?
How about both?
That's what we're saying. Okay, coming up.